Right. So I will also give you time, right? So you have a paper or a book, and you try it on your own. Okay? So I think doing it here would be better because like if I give it to you as a homework, you might even search for the answer. Right? So right here, it's like a test now, right now. So let's do it this way, right? And I have taken questions from our London syllabus as well as the local syllabus, some sample papers. Um, so basically, the idea is to practice algorithms, right? Okay, so mm, don't feel shy. If you want to, if you have the answer, if you want to speak out, just go ahead, right? Or if you think, okay, you want to talk little later towards the third or fourth day, fine, you can text it, right? Right. A list of numbers is to be sorted using a bubble sort algorithm. Now that is not relevant to this particular question we're asking, right? So first they ask, give the definition, give a definition of the term algorithm, right? So I'll give you a little time. Can you come up with an answer? So you can take a notepad and type the answer or write. Now, let me see whether I can share this file with you. Set of procedures that are required to be followed to achieve desired output. Yeah, good. Will slightly improve that answer, right? Mm, can I attach this file? Mm, I'm not really sure how I can share this with you. Okay, anyway, we'll go ahead, right? Yes, so algorithm is a yes, what you have said is correct. Karana or Tarana, I'm not really sure. Set of procedures that are required to be followed to achieve the desired output. Yes, it is a step-by-step solution, right? A step-by-step solution for a given problem, right? Further, you can say like uh, algorithm is designed before we do the final program, right? It's uh, it's designed before the implementation of the final uh, program. Also, we can say we can design an algorithm using flowchart, pseudocode, And also we can use structure charts. Right. So that will be a complete answer. What you have written is correct, right? So this is an improvement of your answer. It's a step-by-step solution for a given problem. It is designed before the implementation of the final program because we write the final program based on the algorithm. We can design an algorithm using flowcharts, pseudocodes, and structure charts. Okay, right. This one, open the file Q05A in the code editor. This is from the London syllabus, right? This is what is known as a trace table. Please bear with me today. My internet connection speed has gone down to 0.5 Mbps from 20 Mbps because of the uh, outstanding amount, right? Uh, right. So this is a trace table. Now, why do you need a trace table? We do something called dry run, right? So once we get the algorithm, we are not really sure whether it will work properly, whether it is the correct solution, right? Because we can't just do the algorithm and do the program, right? We need to do a bit of testing on the algorithm also. So that's why we use uh, um, the trace table or what is called dry running. So dry running is the process of going through the algorithm step by step, giving some sample values to find out whether we get the desired outcome. Right. To help that out, we use a trace table. Right? It is also called hand tracing. I think you have heard about hand tracing, right? Have you heard about hand tracing? Hand tracing? Yes, no, no, right. So it's also called the hand tracing, or it is also called dry run. Uh, and to do the dry run, we make use of a table like this, which is called a trace table, right? So let's see how we can do that. Is the admin here? Admin, Mr. Admin is here. Okay. So let me find out how I can send you this file, right? Okay. For this, there's a Python file you have to use, right? So based on that only, we use the trace table. Now here it's a bit different, right? Now I told you like we do the trace table on the algorithm, but here in this particular syllabus, they have given the Python code straight away, right? So edit. Right? So don't get mixed up. They want us to do the trace table based on the Python code, but usually this is done on the algorithm, right? But we can do it on the final program also. If you want to check without running the code, if you want to check whether it gives the desired output, you can do that. Right? Okay. So hopefully you can see this. Okay. So can you guys do it? So what you have to do is just fill the values of these variables, right? You have to start from top to bottom, line by line. For example, at the beginning, target will be 4. Okay, so top to bottom in a sequence, step by step. Okay, before that, can you tell me what this double asterisk mean? What is this double asterisk? R asterisk asterisk 2. Yes, that is power, right? And what is this percentage? Percentage sign? Yeah, modulo division. What is modulo division? Modulo division. Yes, it is. Oh, Lashan is there. Modulo division is the remainder of a division, right? Now, for example, if you take 5 divided by 2, the answer is 2.5, right? 5 mod 2 will be 2 into 2 is 4, the remainder is 1, right? So that's the difference. Okay, so can you guys feel it? The starting value of R is 1. So in the first row, you can fill the starting values, right? RS is 0, RM is 0, right? Now you have done this, right? Now you go to the while loop. While R is less than the target, that is 1 is less than the target, 4. Sometimes you might have another column for this condition, right? To check whether this condition is true or false. So then in each line, you will have to say whether it is true or false. But in this case, they don't have. Right, I'll give you a little time, just fill the lines. Now what you do is you come into the while loop. Now you can see R is 1, target is 4, right? So 1 is less than or equal to 4. That is true. That means we enter the while loop. So now we need to execute this. Okay, Tharana has got it. What about others? Right. So in the next line, when it is in the while loop, 4 will stay as it is because it does not change, and the RS will be uh, 1 to the power of 2, that is 1. Then RM is 1 modulo 4, so you can't divide by 4, so the remainder is 1. Right. Then R is incremented by 1, so R becomes 2. Right. So if you want, you can fill 4 here, or else you can just leave it out. Then it goes back. Now R is 2, 2 is less than 4, target is 4, no? 2 is less than or equal to 4. Right? Then RS is 2 to the power of 2. So RS becomes 4 here. RM 2 modulo 4. Again, you can't divide exactly by 4, so the remainder is 2. And now R is incremented by 1, so it becomes 3. So it's really easy, right? So it goes back and checks the condition. Now this is a precondition loop, right? While condition. I told you last time to look at while as long as, right? As long as. So now the R is 3. 3 is less than or equal to 4. So RS becomes 3 to the power 2, which is going to be 9. And Rm is going to be 3 modulo 4. Again, you can't exactly divide by 4, so the remainder is 3. And now this becomes 4. R becomes 4. So, right, it goes back and checks 4 is less than or equal to 4. Still it is true. Now 4 into the power 2, RS becomes 16. And Rm is 4 modulo 4. Now you know that is exactly divisible by 4, and the remainder will be 0. Four into 1 is 4, and the remainder is 0, right? Okay, now R becomes 5. Right. Goes back and checks 5 is less than or equal to 4. It is not true, so it exits. That's it. Right. So when the R value is 5, this will exit. Okay, so that's how you fill a trace table, and that's how you do a dry run. You execute each line one by one, and you write the current state of each value. Okay. So any questions? Right, let's take a look at this one. Right, so here's another kind of a dry run. This time it's a pseudocode. The Happy Pet Box company offers discounts based on the type of box ordered and the length of subscription selected. Okay? So let's go through it a little bit. If subscription length equals 12 and box type not equal to, this is not equal to, right? Not equal to standard, then send gold star discount to display. Else, if subscription length is greater than 5, it should be length, right? It's length. And box type equals large or box type equals medium. That means along with this, can you see my mouse pointer? Yeah, okay. Right, so you can see that this condition and one of these conditions, along with this condition, one of these conditions, if it is true, then you give a silver discount, right? So this is like these logic, these are logical expressions, the AND operator, right? Else if subscription length is greater than 2 and box type not equal to standard, then bronze. Else send regular pricing, right? So based on that, you need to fill this trace table if these values are given. If these inputs are given, what will be the output, right? Okay, so yeah, hope you can see it. Right, I'll give you time. Shall you do it? Why the first one is not gold? Why do you say bronze? I just want to see your ideas. Subscription length should be 12 and box type not equal to standard only. It will be discount. Sorry, gold. That means both have to be satisfied, right? Yeah, that's the one. Lucien, right? You know, the reason is this. Now here we in input in the first one we put 12 and standard both, right? But if you take the first one, you see 12 is fine. First condition is true, but the second condition is not true. It says box type not equal to standard. If you have any concerns, let me know, right? So we'll have it as a discussion, right? So box type not, even I may be wrong sometimes, right? So box type not equal to standard. This is standard. We are putting standard, but here it says and means both these conditions have to be true to for it to be gold. So the first condition is not going to be true, right? Subscription is greater than 5. That is fine. That is fine. This in the second one, the first condition is true, but the box type has to be either large or medium. So the second one is also not true for the first two inputs, right? If subscription is greater than 2, that is fine for 12, and box type not equal to standard. Again, our box type is standard and it is AND operator. So here you need to look at the logical operator carefully, right? So it is not bronze either. If any of these are not satisfied, then the answer should be regular. So this one should be regular. Any dispute with that? If you think it's wrong, let us know, right? So we'll have it as a discussion. It's really good if you give your ideas, right? If you take the second one, subscription length is 6. First one doesn't satisfy. Second one is greater than 5. That is fine for the first input. And box type either large or medium. Either large or medium, along with greater than 5. So this perfectly match, right? So for the second one, it should be silver. Right. Third one, 1. So if you look at this one, the second if condition, that is true, greater than 5. And even the third one is true because it's greater than 2, right? So let's look at both of them. And along with the greater than, oh, sorry, not the second one. Not the second one because it's 1. Second one is not true. Third one is not true. So anyway, it's going to be the last one because all these conditions are having and. Right? That means both conditions have to be true. If one condition is false, then the result is false. So obviously it's going to be the last one, right? Because it's 1 here. So it's regular. So the answers are regular, silver, and regular. Okay. Can you repeat the first one, guys? Okay. Now it's the first one. If you look at this, if subscription length equals to 12 and box type not equal to standard, it doesn't say box type equals to standard. Right? If it says box type equals to standard, then this is fine because our two inputs are 12 and standard. But it says subscription should be 12, box type should not be standard. But we are giving standard. And the operator is AND. AND means both these conditions. It should be true and it shouldn't be standard. Both these conditions have to be true. Right? So if without standard, if we had large or medium, then this is fine. Got it, Sarana? Box type not equal to standard. That means it should be any of large or medium, right? And subscription length is 12, right? And the condition between the two is AND. It's not O. If it was O, of course, yes, gold size fine because it satisfies the first condition, which is 12, right? But not this one, right? At the same time, if the box type was large or medium, then yes, it should be gold because it satisfies both conditions. Okay, right. Good. Ask questions like that. Okay, here's another one. Okay, if you guys can quickly get a table like this so that I can zoom this. Here's a pseudocode algorithm that identifies which product has the fewest sale in month. Complete the trace table to show the execution of the pseudocode. you may not need to fill all the rows in the table. Then it should go to the else part. You mean this one, right? You mean the first one, right, Parana? Yeah. So now you know the first one is not true. So it goes to the second one, right? It goes to the second one. And the second one, what it says is subscription length is greater than 5. That is true. That is fine because it's 12. And again, and right. So this condition and this condition both should be true. Here it says box type equals large or box type equals medium, but our box type is standard. So only one condition is true. You know, 1 and 0 is 0 in the AND operator, right? So both conditions are not true. Only one is true. Then it goes to else if subscription greater than 2. That is fine. Again, it's true. The first condition, but again it's and the box type it says not equal to standard. Again, our box type is standard, so it doesn't satisfy this as well, right? So if any of these statements are not satisfied, it goes to the last one. Yes, it's not equal, right? This greater than signs facing each other is not equal, right? Identifies which product has the fewest sales in the month. Okay, so can you just get this table? Count, sales count, lowest, box ID. Okay, now if you look at the pseudocode, sales in 1 month for each product for 4 weeks, right? Maybe, right? Or no, for cat, small dog, medium dog, large dog. Set sales to 56, 55, 65, 40, 40. Which product has the sales? Which product has the fewest sales in the month? Right. So just go through each line. First of all, you try to understand what this means, what happens in there, and then start filling the table. Right. So did you understand the code? So what they mean is that there are 4 products, right? Cat, small dog, medium dog, large dog. Um, Maybe like food or something for these animals, right? Product is not the animal, right? Okay, set sales to 55, 65, 40, 45. What is this thing? What is this square brackets and where we have values? Yes, it's an array. It's it can be represented in Python using a list. right? Um, so what exactly is an array? What about others? Okay, yeah, it's a data structure, collection of data. Right, yeah. So the array is a group of values, right? Group of data. When you have variables, you would have variable identifiers, right? Like a variable name. So if you have 100 variables, 100 values to be stored, you cannot really have like this, right? So this is going to uh, use up a lot of memory, and this memory locations will be from different places in the storage, right? Um, so instead of having different variables names for storing multiple values, what we do is we have uh, one identifier, and we store multiple values, right? And these values will be stored in contiguous locations in the memory, nearby memory locations. So therefore, the access will be fast, storing and retrieval will be fast, and efficient memory management. Um, so with one identifier, you can have multiple values, right? Then how do you access these values? We access these values from what is known as index, right? An index is the position, right? In an array, the index starts with 0, right? 0 position. So if we call array 0, right, in square brackets, array 0, it is going to bring this 5. Okay, so that's the idea of array. So what happens here is the sales are stored in an array. So sales is the identifier. Then we have multiple values like this. Set lowest to 100. So lowest starts with 100. Set count to 0, box ID to 0. For count from 0 to 3, do if sales count. Sales count means first value will be 0. In the first loop, it will be 0. So 0 means we are accessing the first value, right, which is 55. If 55 is less than 100, then set lowest to sales count. Sales count means sales 0. Sales 0 is 55. So which means we are checking this first value against 100, right? If the first value is less than 100, we assign the lowest as that particular value. Okay, so we go on doing that for other values as well. If we find a value which is lower than the current lowest, we assign that value to lowest, right? At the same time, what we do is we set the box ID to count. The reason is we want to find out which item is having the lowest sales, right? And then it goes on, right? Okay. So Tharana has given. What about others? Right. So count is 0, right? At the beginning, count is 0. Then sales count. right? Sales count. You can see that count is the index, right? So count is 0. So sales count will be the first value, which is 55, right? And the lowest is already actually at the beginning, of course, we shouldn't have sales count, okay? Because if you look at this, first we go through, from top to bottom, right? So at the beginning, lowest will be 100, right? And at the beginning, lowest will be 100, and box ID will be 0, right? The reason we don't fill this is because we are going from top to bottom, right? Lowest is fine, count is fine, box ID is fine, but we haven't come into the loop yet. So sales count is not there yet, right? So in the second line, we can have the sales count, right? So sales count is 0. 0 means 55, right? Now what happens is it is checked. You can see it is checked against the lowest, which is true, and then it goes to the second line. You can see that these are executed the line of the other in an order, right? So the lowest is set to sales count. Sales count is 55. Now what happens is the lowest will be set to 55. Okay, right. Box ID will be set to count. Count is 0, so the box ID will be 0. It started with 0. Now it also it is 0, right? Right. So now what happens? It started with the 0. Now it goes back. It's a for loop. You know that in the for loop, the counter is already there. It will count by default. It will count by 1 by 1. So now the count will be 1. Okay. If that's not changed, if this is not changed, you can just leave it blank, or you can just fill 0. For here, of course, we can put dash, right? It's not applicable there. Right. Now sales count. Sales count is 1. Sales 1, which is 65. Right. And it is checked against the lowest, which is 55, right? Which is not true. 65 is not less than 55, so the 55 will stay the same. You can just fill it or just leave it out. And the box ID is still 0, because box ID will be changed only if this condition is true, right? So it will be 0. Okay, now what? Now it goes back and increments the value of count. It will be 2 here, right? Now the sales count is 40, which is the third value, or the value in the second position, 0, 1, 2. Right, now it is checked against this 40 against 55. You can see that it's true. So now the lowest will be 40, right? And then we have to extract the box ID for that. That is 0, 1, 2, right? So this will be 2. Right, now it goes and increments. Count will be 3. Now sales count, that is the last value, which is 45. Right, now 45 compared with 40, it is not true. So the lowest will stay as 40, and the box ID will not change. So it will stay as 2. Right, now you can see the lowest value is this. Lowest value is this, and the box ID will be 0, 1, 2. Okay, right? So hope that's clear, right? So make sure that you start. So from works like while loop. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is just like the while loop. Remember, the difference is in the for loop, of course. On the other hand, this is a pseudo code, right? But if you look at, okay, explain once again. I'll do that. So if you look at this, the for loop and the while loop, the main difference is the for loop will have the increment in it. By default, it will be 1. So 0, next loop it will be 1, next loop it will be 2. Likewise, it will increase 1 by 1. But in the while loop, there's no increment inside the while loop. So you need to have that line, something like n equals n plus 1. If you don't have this, you will see your while loop is continuing without stopping, right? So this increment is needed. So remember, in the while loop, you need to have an increment, but in the for loop, you don't need to have an increment. It is already there, and it by default it's 1. And when you do Python, I will show you how to change that increment. If you want to increase by 2 by 2 or 5 by 5, we can do so. But by default, it is 1. Okay, right. So Lucian, let me explain it again. Okay, so now watch it very carefully, right? So at the beginning, we are starting from top to bottom. At the very beginning, the count is set to 0. So that's why I put 0 here. Sales count is not applicable because we haven't come into the for loop yet, because we are starting from top to bottom. Okay. Lowest is set to 0, 100. It's 100. And box ID is set to 0. So I fill 0 there. Okay. Right. So now we are ready to enter the for loop. Right. Sorry about that. Okay, now we are in the for loop, right? In the for loop, so sales count is starting from 0 now. So sales count is we are accessing the first value, this value, because 0 is the index. Okay, Lucian, count 0. Sorry, sales 0. Count is starting from 0. So sales 0 is this 55, the first value. Okay. Yes, right. So then it is checked against the lowest. Lowest is 100. So you can see that 55 is less than 100. So what we do is we set the new lowest to that particular value, which is 55. Sales count, sales 0 is 55. We put that value 55 into lowest. So now what happens is our lowest will be 55. Okay, right. And then box ID will be that particular count. So at the beginning, the count is 0 because that the index is 0 for the first value. So box ID will be 0. Okay. Now it's a for loop now. So it goes back and increases the index or the count by 1. So now sales 1. Sales 1 is the 65. Sales 1 is 65. So count is 1. Sales 1 is 65. Now that 65 is checked against the lowest. It is not true because 65 is not less than 55. Therefore, it does not execute this line and this line. So they will stay the same. So the lowest and the box ID will stay the same. Okay, right. Then it goes back. Now the count will be 2. Count will be 2. We fill it. Count will be 2. And now sales count. Sales count means sales 2. Sales 2 is 40. Second index, sales 2 is 40. 40 is less than the lowest. Lowest is 55. 40 is less than 55. Yes, true. So it will execute this. Now the new lowest will be 40. Lowest equals to sales 2. And box ID will be 2, which is the count, current value of count, which is 2. Okay. So box value is 2. Right. Again, it goes back. And now the count will be 3. When count is 3, it is accessing sales 3. Sales 3 is this value, index 3, 45. Sales 3 is 45. And it will be checked against the lowest, 45 and 40. 45 is not less than 40. Therefore, this line will not be executed. This line will not be executed, and those will be the same. So 40 and 2, right? And then what happens is it will, yeah, it goes up only up to 3 and it will exit. Okay, so hope it's clear. Right, so that's about trace tables, right? Trace tables and dry run. Okay, so can you guys write the pseudocode for this? Write a pseudocode, a precondition loop, which is while loop or for loop, right? To output all the even numbers between 200 and 400. So that's really easy. So can you get it, so write in pseudocode a precondition loop, which means a while loop or a for loop to output all the even numbers between 200 and 400. Follow the standards, right? Begin. And also the indentation, right? We'll do it using both, right? Both for and while, right? So if you're using for, let me tell you ideas, right? Check your answer also. You can say for num equals, so since this is a pseudocode, you don't need to have strict rules. For num equals 200 to 400, right? You can even say display or out output or print. If you have any different solutions, let us know. Print num and then num equals num plus 2. And don't forget n4 as well, because the pseudocode. So n loop. So we start with 200, goes up to 400, printing the num. So you initially 200 will be printed, and then 2 will be added. So it goes back. 202 is within the range. So print 202. Again 2 will be added, and it goes on. Any questions? Is that right? Do you agree, or did I do any mistake? Hello. Right. So right. So that's the for loop, right? So if you use the while loop, right? So remember, while is as long as, right? So before starting the while loop, you need to start num with 200. Okay. Now while num is less than or equal to 400, do print num num equals num plus 2, right? So see, the implementation is slightly different, right? So we started with the value, right? And I told you, while is num, while is as long as, so as long as the num value is less than or equal to 400. 200 and 400, between 400 and 400. Why do you want to check whether it is even? You can start with no. It depends. It depends on the question. No? In this case, of course, well, this is part of the question, so we are not really sure about what they mean. So if you're including 200 and 400, well, you can start with 200. If you're not including 200 and 400, you can start with 202. So you don't really need to check whether it is even, right? Because you start with 202 and you go on adding 2 by 2. 202, add 2, 204, add 2, 206, like that. Right? So here they don't want the odd numbers, Tarana, right? Your answer is good. It is checking whether it is an odd number or an even number and it displays. But here they just want to output all the even numbers between 200 and 400. Yeah. We don't need to display whether it is odd or even, right? But yeah, your solution is fine if that is the case. If you want to check whether it is an even number and display whether it is even or odd, we check the modulus, right? Modulo 2. Between 200 and 400, not included, right? Well, that will depend on the question. No, right? Nimsa, what do you think? Now, in database, of course, when you say between 200 and 400, 200 and 400 will be included. And in the logic, if you want to have between 200 and 400, if you give like this, 200 will not be included. And you have to give it like this, right? So here it's just a part of a question. So it depends on the question actually, right? So here we'll take that we take 200 and 400 also, between 200 and 400, right? In the sense, like if you want to include 200 and 400, you start with 200. If you don't want to include 200 and 400, you move from 202 to 398, right? Right. So here we need to, yes, Lashani, thank you. We need to put n while. Right. So it's slightly different. While is as long as num is less than or equal to 400, do print num. So it will print the value of num, which is 200 first, and then go on adding by 2 by 2. So as long as this condition is true, it will continue this, right? So when will it exit the loop? What will be the value of num when it exits the loop? In this while loop. Now, for loop, of course, fine, it goes still 400. Right? But you remember, in Python, it will be slightly different. It does not go till the upper boundary. When I do Python, I'll show you. It does not go until the upper boundary. It goes one less than the upper boundary. Right? So, what do you think? In the while loop, what is the value when it exits the loop? $400. Yeah, 402. Right? Because 400 is inclusive now. When it is 400, it will print 400 and add 2, then it becomes 402. Then it goes and check 402 less than or equal to 400, which is not true. It will exit, right? So since we have put um, less than sign, I mean equal sign, when it is 400, right? Also, it will continue. At one point, it will be 398. 398 plus 2, 400 goes there. 400 is less than or equal to 400, which is true. Then it will print 400. Then it will be 402. Goes and checks 402 less than or equal to 400. Not true. It will exit. Okay, right. Next one. List two advantages of using flowcharts when designing a computer program. So that of course we'll discuss. Okay, what are your answers? List two advantages of using flowcharts when designing a computer program. Easy to understand. Why? Always when you write an answer like that, uh, give an explanation. But if you say it is easy to understand, why? Why is it easy to understand? Why pseudocode is not easy as flowchart then? It's easy to understand because it's a graphical representation, right? So we can have a clear picture straight away without reading lines, right? It's a graphical representation of the problem, so it is easy to understand and have a clear idea about the problem, right? Any other advantage? It's easy to understand because it's a graphical representation. What are the other advantages? Easy to make adjustments. Easy to make adjustments. Mm, easy to make adjustments. Okay. Easy to represent, right? Faster problem solving. Like if it is easy, right? If it is easy to do the flowchart, then problem solving must be fast enough. It won't take much time, right? So I don't know whether you have seen like when in these software development companies when they have these boards where they effective analysis, yes. When they discuss about the program, you must have seen most of the time they do the flowchart, not the pseudocode. Right? Right? Faster problem solving, easy to understand, easy for discussion even, right? Easy for discussion because you can draw it up and you know easy to collaborate. You can get everyone to discuss, right? So those are the answers. Draw a flowchart to read two numbers, calculate the sum, and print the result. So that's pretty easy. Okay, can you guys do it really fast? To read two numbers, to read two numbers means the user inputs the two numbers, calculate the sum, print the result. Read two numbers, calculate the sum, and print the result. Better to start with the initializing. So n1, n2, sum, equals 0. You put read even, read. Calculate the sum. Sum equals n1 plus n2. And print the result. So since I don't have much space, I will do it here. Any concerns? Is that right? Start n1 n2 sum equals 0. Read n1 and n2. Sum n1 plus n2. Print sum. So is that correct? Hello. Only few are talking now. Others are sleeping. Read means output. Read two numbers. Read two numbers. That's input. No? Read two numbers. User inputs two numbers. Okay, right. This one is from a paper. The health science teacher needs computer program to identify underweight students in her class. Maybe you have done this already. The class consists of 40 students. The underweight students are identified using their body mass index, BMI. BMI is calculated dividing the weight in kilograms by the square of the height in meters. The following flowchart is drawn for the required program. The symbols are labeled from A to J for reference. Right? Okay, so let's go through it. Count equals 1, input name, weight, height. BMI equals weight divided by height squared. Is BMI less than 18.5? True, print you are underweight. No, print name you are not underweight. Right? And here it comes and increases the count. Why count is there? Because there are 40 students. We start with the first student and we go through all the students, right? Okay, and then this condition is there. What does it do? It will check whether we have gone through all the 40 students. Is count less than or equal to 40? So this is like just like the while loop, right? As long as the count is less than or equal to 40, yes, it goes back and asks for the next name, weight, and height, and it loops through, right? So this is a what do you call this? It is a repetition or a loop, right? So we have sequence, we have condition, we have repetition, right? And when does it end? When does the loop end? Come on, guys, reply soon. Or you talk. Yes, and the count becomes 41. Good. Stops. Right. So what are the Tharana, have you done this before? This question? Have you come across this question? Lushan, Nimsara, have you come across this question again before? Yes. Okay. Right. Write down the inputs of the flow chart. Lushan, no, right? Okay. Write down the inputs of the flow chart. What are the inputs? That's easy. We have to input the name, we have to input the weight, and we have to input the height, right? Okay. Write down one possible output of the flow chart. Well, there are only two outputs. Either you say underweight or you say not underweight, right? So one of these, right? You can refer to the label F or G. Write the condition of the iteration. What is the condition of the iteration? Is it E or I? Come on, zoom. What is the condition of the iteration? Is it E or I? Yes, count less than or equal to 4. That's the one which goes back and comes to the input, right? So that's the iteration, not this one. This is just a condition, and this is a condition inside the iteration. So this is the iteration, the loop, right? So you can always look at the line which goes back to a previous statement. So that's the iteration, right? So this is pretty easy. Write the statement that helps to terminate the iteration. It is this count less than or equal to 40. When it becomes 41, it stops the iteration, right? List the labels that is are executed within the selection control structure. Executed within the selection. So selection is this. It will execute. It is asking for all the labels, right? Labels, yeah. F will be executed. G will be executed within the selection, right? So if this is true, it will execute this. If it is false, it will execute this, right? This is part of the whole program, right? So only F and G. Good. What is the value assigned to count when the loop terminates? That is 41. If all the students in the class are not underweight, name the label of the step that will not be executed in the given flowchart. Label of the step if all are not underweight. Name the label of the step that will not be executed in the given flowchart. Yeah, simple. If all are not underweight, it won't go to this side, right? So F is not executed, right? Okay, so that's pretty easy, right? Okay, here's another dry run example. Right, I'll give you a little time. First, we'll try to understand what happens here. Now, this is actually a program code, right? So dim y as integer 3 for x equals 1 to 4, y equals y plus x. Console.writeln means you are just outputting the value of y. But you can see that you output the value of y after the loop, not inside the loop, right? So which means you are not going to put the value here in each state, in each loop, but only after the loop. After finishing the loop, you will be outputting the value of y. Okay, right. So quickly do this. First, fill the starting values. These two will not be there. Oh, actually, dim, sir, dim is actually this is from a programming language. This is from Visual Basic, right? So dim is just a way of defining that variable. You define a variable called y that that uh, that depends on the program. So that is not really relevant for this. Just understand the logic. But dim is used for that particular language. It is a syntax of that language. In Python, of course, we just say y equals 3. Tarana is really fast, no? Tarana, which school you are from? Okay, okay. Right. So when x is 1, y equals y plus x. So y is 3. Current value of x is 1. So this becomes 4. Y equals y plus x, right? Others take your time, right? I will address to all of you, right? Even though Taran is fast. Right, and there's no output. Yes, good. Taran, there's no output. Output comes at the end. And then it goes back. X will be incremented. So it will be 2. Lushan, you fill all the values, right? Ah, yeah, sorry. Uh, 2 now, 2 will be added to the existing value of y, which is going to be 6, and still there's no output. Then x will be incremented by 1, so it becomes 3. 3 is added to the current value of y, it becomes 9. Still there's no output. It goes from 1 to 4, so this becomes 4. Then 4 is added to the current value of y. Oh, hold on. It is a for loop, so should it not stop at 3? Ah, right. That's if it is Python. If it is Python, this is not Python. No? Right? That's why I told you, like, don't look at the program syntax. Just take it as the pseudocode. Let's assume it as a pseudocode, although it's a programming language. In Python, of course, yes, it doesn't go up to 4. It will stop at 3. And in Python, this is not the way we define the for loop, right? So here, can you adjust your answer? We'll take it from 1 to 4, right? So it goes from 4 up to 4. So when it is 4, 4 will be added to the current value of 9, so it will become 13. Right? And that's no output yet. So the current value of x is 4, and the condition is true, so it exits the loop, and the output will be displayed here. Clear? Okay. Right. Why we need to use hand tracing or dry running? What is your answer? To find out errors, test the program. Yes, good. Like when do you find out the errors? Is it during the running of the program or before implementing the program? Right? It is used to test the program, test the solution, right? Uh, Before implementing, it is used to test the solution before implementing the final program, so that we can come across errors and correct them. Okay? Okay. Uh, this will reduce the work, because now if you don't correct the errors at this stage, these errors uh, will be found when you do the program, right? At that time, if there are so many errors, the development can be delayed, because you have to spend time on correcting errors than uh, implementing the program. So that's why it's better to find out the errors beforehand, right? So this will reduce the uh, uh, testing time. You can say formal testing time after the program is written. Okay, right. So if you find the errors beforehand, and if you can correct them, you don't need to spend a lot of time on testing after the program is written. Okay, and we have different types of testing. We have unit testing. We have uh, you know uh, white box testing, black box testing, right? We have user testing, right? So testing is a stage in the system development lifecycle, right? So the work will be reduced if you do the dry run or hand tracing beforehand, right? Okay, here's another one. Right. You see more there. Okay, right. So can you guys fill this? Again, it's another programming language. It's a programming language, so don't really look at the syntax there. Just take it from 0 to 5. Move from 0 to 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Small problem is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 values are there. But 0 to 5, it will move only 6 values. Okay, doesn't matter. We will go from 0 to 5. Right. Can you feel it? I'll give you a little time. Right. So did you see there's a mistake in the program? So that's exactly why we need this dry run, right? Or trace table, right? Now the mistake is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values, right, in our list, but the for loop will traverse only from 0 to 5. 0 is the first index now. Num represents the number in the list for each term. You mean this dim num? Oh no, oh yeah, this one, right? Yes, yes, that's right. It is the number in the list. Yeah. Actually, this number is index. This one is index 0, 1, 2, 3 index. So you have to first fill. You have to first fill the values. This is the index, right? I'll tell you. We'll do it for all the values. Right? We'll take 2 as well, right? Now there are 7 values, but it goes only up to 6 values because 0 to 5. Now when you do the dry run, you can easily spot the error. The error is this. It is not looking at all the values. Right? Can you guys tell me how we can correct the error? Error is right here. It goes from 0 to 5. So what is the solution for this? Simply we go up to 6. 0 to 6. Understand? 0 to 6. 0 to 6, there are 7. So 7 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. That was speed, man. Okay. What about others? Right. So first of all, we need to fill the values, right? So num 0 is 10. Num 1 is 8. 3, 5, 6, 1, and 2. Okay. So at the beginning, sum is 0. Average, of course, they haven't initialized it, so we can just leave it out. And there's no x, there's no output, right? So that is this part. Now we enter the loop. X equals 0. X equals 0. So it will be 0 here. Right? Sum equals sum plus num x. Num x. Num x will be 0. So num x will be this 10. Right? Sum equals sum plus num x. That means 10 will be added to the current value of sum. Current value of sum is 0. So this 10 will be added to 0. So sum will be 10. That's this line, right? Okay. Then it goes back. X will be 1. X will be 1. Okay. And then sum equals sum plus num x. Num x will be num 1. That is 8. 8 will be added to the current value of sum. So 10 plus 8 will be 18. Okay. Still behind the loop. Goes back. X will be incremented by 1. So x will be 2 now. Still there's no output, right? 2. So sum equals sum plus num2. Num2 is the value in the second position, 0, 1, 2. That's 3. 3 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 18. Right? If you don't understand, let me know. If you want me to explain again. So this 3 will be added to 18. So it will be 21. Goes back. X will be incremented. Now it will be 3. Okay. X will be 3. Sum equals sum plus num3. Num3 is 5. 5 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 26. 21 plus 5. Then goes back. X will be 4 now. num4 is 6 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 6 plus 26, which is 32. Still average is not there because average comes after the loop. Output also comes after the loop. Right, goes back. X will be 5. Num5 will be 1. Num5, 5 is the index. Num5 will be 1. Will be added to the current value of sum, which is 32 plus 1, 33. Am I right? Third, third column, I have put the output for X. Third column. I don't get it. Third column, I have put the output for X. 6. Last output, I have put average. That is an output. Well, still we are inside the loop, right? We haven't gone out of the loop. If we go out of the loop only, we will be printing the average as the output. Okay, so here take a look at this one, right? If when X is 4, num X now, right? Current value of sum is 32. Then we have been adding it, and now we have 32 in the sum. Okay, num4 is fourth position. That is 6. We have 6. 6 will be added. Sum equals sum plus num4. 6 will be added to the current value of sum, which is, oh, hold on. Okay, let's go through again. Right, okay. Right, let's go through again. Sum starts with 0, okay, and then X will be 0, right? So sum equals sum plus num 0. Num 0 is 10. 10 will be added to the sum. It becomes 10. Okay. In the next loop, X will be 1, right? Num 1 will be 8. So 8 will be added to the current value of 10, which is 18, right? Now num2 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 21, right? Num2 will be added to the current value of 18. Num3 is 5. 5 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 21. So it becomes 26. Right. Num4 is 6. 6 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 26, and the result is 32. Right. Then num5 is 1 will be added to the current value of sum, which is 32, and it becomes 33. Right. Okay. Now we had assumed that we go for 6, 0 to 6, right? It goes back. Now the X value is 6. X value is 6. We fill X first, right? 6. Now sum equals sum plus num6. Num6 is 2. Current value of sum is 33. 33. 33 plus 2 is 30. 35. Okay. Is that correct? Yes. Right. Now we exit the loop. Average equals sum divided by X plus 1. Now is that correct? Why have they put X plus 1? Now see, the advantage of writing, you can check the code and find the errors quite easily. Why have they put X plus 1? Now you can see the X, the last value at the end of the loop. X last value is 6. When it exits the loop, value of X is 6. but we have 7 values. We have 7 values to divide, right? So that's why we have added 1. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So 35 will be divided by 7. And the output comes after the loop. So here no change. Right? Average will be 5 because it stores here, right? And the output will also be 5 here. Easy, right? Okay, so that's a trace table on an array. Right? Okay, we have another one. I'll give this for homework. This one, right? And a few more things I will give for homework. I want to before I leave, I'll give these also as homework. Yeah, sure. I'll done. Okay, this question we discussed last time, so I want you to do the flow chart and the pseudocode, right? Okay, these also I'll give as homework. But before I leave, I want to do this nested loop. So let's do this particular question, right? Write a pseudocode to generate the following pattern, because nested loops are there. Last time we looked at nested if. Nested if was the inside one if there is another if, right? So um, that is called nested if. You check one condition, and if it is not true, we check the other condition. We saw a few questions like that. Now nested loop is inside one loop, there's another loop. Inside one loop, there's another loop, right? Now, if you take this particular question, uh, write a pseudocode to generate the following pattern. I can see that we have gone through several lines, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I have taken this question to teach you this nested loop to get the idea of the nested loop, right? We have gone through several lines, 4 lines. In each line, we have printed a certain number of symbols, asterisks. Here we have printed 1, here we have printed 2, here we have printed 3, here we have printed 4, right, which is equivalent to the line number of this. When the line number is 1, we print 1. When the line number is 2, we print 2. When the line number is 3, we print 3. Okay, so this is pretty easy. Now this thing is called a nested loop. We need to implement this using a nested loop, right? So the idea is this. So always when you come across these questions, you think, you try to analyze, you try to sketch, then it's easy to understand. Try to visualize how it happens, right? So you can see that if we have one variable here, let's say I, we can start it from 1 and go up to 4. Okay, right. Then if we have a variable called I, we can continue it from 1 to 4, right? In each value of I, we need to print a certain number of asterisks, right? For that also, if I use a variable like something like A, I can start it with 1, and for each line, I can increase it by 1 by 1. This will be 2, 3, 4. So you can see that there are two variables and two iterations, two loops. One iteration is moving from 1 to 4, which is I. The other iteration is also moving from 1 to 4, which is A. Okay, right? When I is 1, you iterate inside 1, we iterate once. Like inside when I is 1, you iterate A once. Okay, when I is 2, you iterate A twice. When I is 3, you iterate A thrice. When I iterate I is 4, you iterate A 4 times. So you can see inside one loop, there's another loop. Okay, so how do you do the pseudocode for this? Okay, So understand the concept of this nested loop, right? Then you can implement it for any question. So begin, end, right? So what should you do? We need two variables, right? One to hold the line number, the other to hold the number of asterisks. So let's have line equals 1, then symbol, right? Symbol equals 1. Okay, right. Now, how many loops we should have? We should have 2 loops, right? So which one should be there first? Are we going to take the line first or the symbol? For line, there will be a loop. For symbol, there will be a loop. Which loop is going to be first? The loop for the line or loop for the symbol? Yes, good. Right. So for line 1, 2. Karan, have you done nested loops? Yeah, in Python you have done. What about others? Lushem, have you done Nimsara? Lushem? No, right? Okay, right. So it's so I'll address to everybody, right? Okay, yes. So for loop, nested loop is a loop inside another loop. So these things are needed. Like when you want to have like kind of a when you want to do something over and over again in different stages, right? So this will be the first loop, line 1. For line 1, that is this one, right? So let me take the screenshot first. Okay. When line, this is line. When line 1 or line 1, we need to go up to 4. Line 1 to 4. Okay. Right. Inside that loop, we should have another loop. Now that loop is going to print the number of asterisks. So this is the symbol loop. Okay. අපි සාමාන්‍ය මේ අදීදිත් එහෙමනේ පළවෙනි line එකේ එකක් අඳිනවා දෙවෙනි line එකේ දෙකක් අඳිනවා same concept. So when line is 1 we draw one symbol, right? So the second loop should be for the symbol. For symbol, that also goes from 1 to 4 because first one is 1, last one we should repeat for 4 times, 1 to 4. Okay, what should you do? You should print the asterisk. Print asterisk. Here you end 4. Always you can put the end loop here, end 4. Right. Now let's do a dry run and see whether this works, right? Okay. Line number is 1, symbol is 1. For line 1 to well, you can even start with 0 here because anyway in the for loop when you say for line 1 we start with 1, right? Normally when we initialize a variable without a value we just put 0, right? So for line is 1 to 4. Okay, we are right here. Okay, then inside that for symbol 1 to 4 print oh yeah, I did a mistake. It's not 1 to 4, it should be 1 to line. Okay, I'll explain why. Okay, for symbol 1 to line. Okay, right. Now we are in line number 1. Okay, that is this one, line number 1. Okay, for symbol 1 to line, what is the value of line? It's 1. That means from 1 to 1. 1 to 1, it will print only once. It will loop only once. Print asterisk. So it will print the asterisk. That's fine. Okay. Now this loop is done. It goes back to this. Okay. This loop is done. It goes back to this. What happens? Line will be 2. It goes to this. Line will be 2. Okay. For symbol 1, 1 to line is 2. Current value of line is 2. For 1 to 2, 2. What you do is you print the asterisk. That means you print twice. When symbol is 1, you print. When symbol is 2, you print. So it goes from 1 to 2. 1 to 2. Why did you put line? Because for every line, the number of asterisks is equals to that particular line number. If the line number is 2, we are printing 2. If the line number is 3, we are printing 3. That's why we put this line here, this value of line here. I can't put 4. If I put 4, every time it will print 4. That's not the method. No, we need to go on increasing now, right? We don't want 4 to be printed every time, right? So remember, when the line number is 1, we need to print once. When the line number is 2, we print twice. Okay, so we put line there. Okay, right. So once this is printed twice, it goes to the next one. It goes to this loop. It goes to the next one, which is 3. Right. When it is 3, it goes to the loop, this loop. So symbol 1 to 3, it will print the asterisk. So it will print 3 times. Once that is over, it goes back to this loop. Now the value of line is 4. Right. Now it goes to the symbol, the for loop, which is inside. Symbol starts from 1 to 4. Print the asterisk. It prints 4 times. Got the idea, right? Now we call this loop, right, which was the first loop, which represents the lines. We call this loop outer loop. We call this loop what? If that is outer loop, this is inner loop. Right. So in a nested loop implementation, you will have an outer loop and an inner loop. There will be an outer loop and inner loop. Understand? Right? For one of the values in the outer loop, inner loop will repeat several times. And then it goes back to the outer loop. Outer loop will be incremented. Again, the inner loop will run several times. Once that is over, it will go back to the outer loop. It will increase. Got it? So this whole thing will be continued until the outer loop is done. Until we have finished 4 lines, this will be continued. Okay, right. So I have given you an extended question, homework question for this nested loop, right? User enters the number of rows and the symbol. You have to draw similar pattern to the above. Okay, so here we of course we started with 1 and went to 4, right? So you modify this pseudocode and do it for the number of rows and symbol, the symbol entered by the user. So you should ask the user to enter the symbol that he wants to draw, and you should ask the user to enter the number of rows he wants to draw. So if he enters 100, 100 rows to be printed.